I can vouch for the truth of the words that Jesus said there at the end, that if you have given up everything for the sake of the gospel, that you will not receive 100 times more. And there have been times, I've been a priest, where I felt like I have gained 100 or more additional mothers. Sometimes that's a good thing, but other times But this young man, he was good. By all accounts, we would say this was a good young man. He wasn't bragging when he said, I have kept the commandments. And it says, Jesus looked at him with love. But then Jesus said, the one thing that is left for you to truly inherit the kingdom is let go of your attachments. The fact is, in the confessions that I hear week after week, year after year, lots of people will confess when they have fallen short of the rules, when they have broken the commandments. But in terms of saying, I'm having a hard time letting go or reprioritizing my attachments, I don't hear much of that. So I'd like to share something with you today. This was written by a man in Portland, Oregon, Brian Doyle, and he wrote it just in the last couple of weeks. Bless me, Father, for I have sinned, and I am totally wrestling with feeling bad about sinning, which I do a little and then don't at all. I'll explain. Yesterday, a guy walked into a classroom in my state and shot 9 people to death and shot up 10 others so bad that they'll limp and be in pain in a dozen ways every hour for the rest of their lives. A cop shot the shooter, and now the shooter is dead. But this all happened too in Columbine, in Aurora, in Sandy Hook, in Charleston, in Norway, and Dunblane, in Tasmania, and on, and need I go on? And what is my sin? I'll tell you, Father. Lean in a little here so no one hears. I wanted to shoot the shooter in the head. I did. And then when I calmed down, I wanted to punch the idiots who immediately started shouting that this doesn't have anything to do with gun control. And then I wanted to thump the people who excoriated the school for not having armed guards on duty every 50 feet around the perimeter. And then I wanted to afflict everyone issuing comment and opinion and advice and sound bites with laryngitis that would last a month. And then all I could see were body bags and people sobbing. The mother and the father of the shooter sobbing and speechless. And I was ashamed of myself, Father, because I wriggle with violent impulses, and I have punched and thumped and shouted. And in me is the same squirm of lashing violence as in every other man, and probably most women if they were honest. So I come to you, Father, to see if you can help me. I need you to tell me this will end someday. I need you to tell me Christ was right, and turning the other cheek will not always mean getting a knife slash on the other cheek too. I need you to tell me that this has nothing to do with easy, useless labels like evil and Satan and insanity, and everything to do with the brooding shadow in my heart, in every heart. I need you to tell me that shadow will be dispersed and disseminated someday, and not by directive from the one, but by us working our rear ends off to make violence something that you visit in the War Museum. Father, I need you to confirm that it's us who can solve our daily murder. I need you to confirm that Christ is in us, and we can do this if we stop posturing and preening and labeling and actually do something about lonely idiots with brains full of worms. And we are not just talking about addled, lonely boys with squirming brains, are we? Aren't we also talking about arrogant, pompous blowhards like Bin Laden and Hitler, who are sure they know what's best and right for everyone? Aren't we talking about slimy wannabe caliphs who want to own a desert where they pretend it's the 7th century? Aren't we talking about everyone who thinks they knew best? Aren't we talking about that jagged splinter of bloody bile in every person's heart if they were honest? Aren't we talking about your heart and mine, Father? What's my sin, really? Deeper than the rage I feel with people who murder innocents, people who close their brains as they open their mouths, my sin deep down is that I often despair of us, Father. I do. At night. I lie awake and think maybe we are exactly the same savage primates we were 1,000,000 years ago. And culture and civilization are mere veneer. And we will always be pulling triggers in so many ways. Pistols, rifles, cannons, drones, bombers, warheads, whatever brilliant murder tool we come up with next. We're so creative, aren't we, Father? Always looking for a new way to blow the other guy to bits and then drape righteous excuses over the bloody dirt. So that's what I want to tell you, Father. I rage. I despair. I'm ashamed of that. Both are small. I want to be big. I want us all to be big. I want Christ to be right. I want the word shooter to be forgotten. I want us to outwit violence. But I am so often afraid that we will always be small. And Christ was a visionary whose words will drown in a tsunami of blood. Father, I know that ultimately it's God who forgives me. You speak the words of absolution. So I ask that you join me in intercession to the Lord for hope, for endurance, for a flash of his love, like water, when we are so desperately thirsty that we think we will never find water again. For these and all the sins of my past life, I'm sorry. Or at least I'm trying to be. Amen.